Hey guys, Metallicaloid28 here to bring you guys another video. This one's going to be doing a video continuing my Mets 2014 regular season series, and I know it's a little too soon to bring out another video after I just brought out my last video a couple days ago, but I just wanted to kind of go over things I went over in that last video, but in more detail, and I want to elaborate on that a little bit more in this video. So, we've seen the Mets now tie the series with the Cardinals in the 4-game series at home at Citi Field, 1 game apiece. They got shut out yesterday, as a matter of fact, 3-0 by obviously Met nemesis fucking Adam Wainwright. So whatever. Well, I don't know what to take from that game. So the point of this video is I want to bring up a couple transactions that I think the Mets can, must, and will do. Actually, I'm gonna make a couple predictions here on what the Mets should do in terms of transactions. If you guys wondering what I'm talking about, transactions, I mean trades or free agent pickups or send downs, call ups, transactions of that matter. Okay. So in my last video, I mentioned how the Mets had traded Ike Davis to the Pittsburgh Pirates for right-handed pitcher Zach Thornton and a player to be named later. Now, reports indicated that that player to be named later was going to be the more significant piece in the deal that the Mets would get, and now we're getting word as well that that piece is most likely a 2013 draftee from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we're probably not going to get any word from who that player is until June comes up, when the new draft comes up, because that's the rules. That's usually how it works. So that was a great move by the Mets. I still feel, even though Ike Davis just hit a fucking another grand slam, a couple days ago in Pittsburgh, but hey, you know what? Power to him. If he wants to hit 30 bombs in Pittsburgh, go right ahead. We don't fucking need him. So that was a great move. But I'm going to be talking about 3 other moves that I think the Mets still need to make in order to make this a successful season, setting up for the big 2015 season that Mets fans were waiting for. Now, it's fucking sad for me to even say that, because 2014 was supposed to be the big fucking hurrah for the Mets. This was supposed to be the year we were supposed to go back into contention. This was definitely it. But Matt Harvey got hurt, and it was a downward spiral from there on, because we signed Curtis Granderson, and he's just been awful lately. We signed Chris Young, who has been okay, but he's already been on the 15-day DL already to start the year. And then Bartolo Colon, who's not looking that great either. So, not great. Not a great, the offseason pickups that we have had, not great. The best out of the 3 so far has been Chris Young, and he hasn't even been that spectacular yet. So we'll see what happens with that. But, right, and then on top of that, Bobby Parnell getting hurt. So this is going to lead me to my next point. The Mets, in order to succeed, okay, and it looks like they're not going to with the bullpen they have, is to have a good bullpen. And they don't have that right now. Kyle Farnsworth is their fucking closer right now, okay? Jose Valverde was doing so bad and giving up so many fucking home runs that he got bumped down out of the closer spot and is now replaced by Kyle Farnsworth. Valverde is right now, who knows? I don't know if he's the setup man or if he's just a middle reliever. Even Terry Collins doesn't know what he's doing with the setup position. So that's that. And then you guys have like Gonzalez Herman and Hiris Familia and Scott Rice and Carlos Torres, of the world, and Dice K. This is a horrible bullpen. So I've said it in my last video. The Mets need to bring up both Rafael Montero and Jacob deGrom and send down those 2 fucking scrubs, Scott Rice and Carlos Torres. Those are journeyman pitchers. They're career minor leaguers. They need to get the fuck out of our bullpen. Send those 2 guys down. Bring up the prospects. Bring up the prospects. Follow the St. Louis Cardinals model. Look what the Cardinals did in the past couple years. They brought up Joe Kelly, Shelby Miller, Carlos Martinez, and Trevor Rosenthal all in the bullpen. And they had one of the best bullpens back in 2012 and in 2013. What the fuck? Why can't the Mets just do that? They turned Trevor Rosenthal, who was a starter in the minors, by the way, into their fucking closer. He's been amazing. And then when it was time for Kelly and Miller to get into the rotation, they put him in the fucking rotation. And the guy that was left out was Carlos Martinez. But he'll eventually get in there as well. And the Cardinals go out and they make their trades. They sign their relievers. That's what I love about them. Last year, they fucking traded for, what's his name, from the Marlins, who's now with the Red Sox, Edward Mujica. They do stuff like that to make their bullpen a lot better. They want to win, and they're the perfect organization in baseball. I think they're even more perfect than the Yankees. They do it the right way. They don't spend their money like the Yankees, and sometimes they don't even work. They fucking build from within. They bring up their prospects. They season them up in the bullpen and throw them in the fucking rotation when necessary. You know, when it's time. The Mets need to follow the Cardinals. If it's any team right now that needs to follow the Cardinals model, is the New York Mets. This is the perfect team to follow it. So this is how it's gonna get done. The New York Mets will send down, like I said, Carlos Torres and Scott Rice. Actually, they're going to bring up 3 guys. I forgot about one guy. Bring up Vic Black. What the fuck is he doing in the minors? You know, I know he had a bad spring training, but what is he doing down there? That he's got some good stuff. Bring his ass back up, okay? He's supposed to be our setup guy. And then you bring up DeGrom, and you bring up Montero. That's 3 guys, okay? I would do that in a heartbeat. Now, you need a closer now, though, right? I don't think any of those 3 are going to be the Mets closer. What do you do now? Now that you have traded Ike Davis and you sent his $3.5 million to fucking Pittsburgh to now have to, you know, pay him, we freed up some cash, okay? We already had freed up cash when the offseason was done, okay? The Mets payroll stood about around $86 million by the time the offseason was done, okay? And Sandy Alderson clearly said that he had money to spend on the reliever. Well, now he's got even more money because now he's got even $3.5 million more on top of probably the $6 million that he had available because he did offer Balfour 2 years and $12 million, which is 6 per. So he had $6 million there sitting around, you know, ready to be spent. Now add on another $3.5 million, and he's got some money. Okay, he's got $90.5 million to spend on a reliever. That's more than enough to sign a closer right now, like a Joel Hanrahan. So the Mets attended his showcase a couple days ago, and they said, and even Sandy Alderson himself had stated that he did confirm that he had interest in Hanrahan. It's just a matter of waiting for him to be ready for the season because he is coming back from Tommy John. He had it back in May of last year, so it usually takes a year to recover. So he won't be ready for the majors until, I would say, late May. But why not sign this guy right now? You know, why wait for another team to go into a bidding war with the Mets? And you know, when a team is in a bidding war with the Mets tend to fucking lose. They don't have money, okay? They're one of the poorest New York franchises there are in sports. That's very fucking sad. So, if you're the Mets, you go out right now and you make your first big fucking move of the season, the regular season. And you go out and you sign fucking Joel Hanrahan to a 1-year deal worth $4.5 million. That will get it done. Okay? That will get it done. And they clearly have that money to spend on him. You wait for him to come back. For the time being, you use Cal Farnsworth as your closer, and then you bring in Vic Black in there sometimes. You know, you would have Montero and DeGrom up here as well. And you'd have, you know, a better bullpen for sure. Then, once Hanrahan comes up, you'll move him into the closer spot. You could bump Vic Black to, you actually keep him in the 8th inning spot. You can bump either Valverde or Farnsworth to be your 7th inning guy. And then your middle relievers would be Herman, Familia, DeGrom, and Montero. And then your long man would be Daisuke. Holy shit, that fucking bullpen's already better. Okay? Like, way better. You have a lot of young guys in that bullpen, but you do have your 4 veterans. I mean, that's as balanced can be. You know, you got your 4 rookies, and you got your 4 veterans, okay? Your rookies, Black, Herman, Montero, DeGrom. Actually, no, I got 5 guys in there. Familia, sorry. And then you have your 4 veterans in Hanrahan, Farnsworth, Valverde, and Daisuke. So that's actually a 9-man bullpen, so one of them are going to have to get sent down. That guy might be Gonzalez Herman. He might be the odd man out, but whatever. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So that's the first move I would do. Now, these are a little bit more of a stretch, and I had mentioned in my previous video, but I'm going to elaborate it on a little bit more because I feel like it makes even more sense now in the video that I'm making now as opposed to last time. A little time has passed now between my last video and this one. I would say a couple days, like 3-4 days, and Henry Mejia had yet another start. And did he fucking deliver? My God. This guy is the real deal. Henry Mejia is pitching like an ace right now. He is practically the Mets ace right now, if you really think about it. Colon's been garbage. Nice has been inconsistent. G has been okay. He's been pretty good, I guess. And then Wheeler has been, wow, he's been erratic. I can't believe he's been that erratic. So the only steady, consistent starter we've had is Henry Mejia, with opposed to, you know, his blister injury. This guy's the real fucking deal, you know, and no one's really paying attention to this shit. So this is the time. You guys may be like, oh, no, you're crazy. This is the time you trade his ass, okay? This is what I'm saying. Ruben Tejada is not cutting it at shortstop. His defense has been spectacular. Don't get me wrong, but his offense sucks ass. This guy is hitting horribly this year, and it looks like he's never going to snap out of it. This is the time to get your shortstop. And this is what I'm going to say right now. The Mets are hoping for 2 teams to do poorly to start the season. So poorly that they're going to give up. And those two teams are the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies out in the fucking NL West, okay? The Mets right now stand at 500, okay? They're right now 10-10, okay? So they're about where we thought they'd be in the, in the regular season. So not bad. They're not doing too bad right now. Okay, let's give them a break. They had a tough April schedule, okay? And they still do. After the Cardinals, they're still gonna have a tough schedule, So we'll give them some fucking slack. But after April and May comes in, the Mets have to step it up a gear. And I think the way they'll do that is by bringing up the prospects, Not Syndergaard. I don't think Syndergaard's gonna come up until June, but the other prospects, Montiel and DeGrom. So anyway, this is my trade proposal. This is my second transaction the Mets should do after the Hanrahan deal. You go out and you page up Arizona, you page up Kevin Towers, the GM, and say, listen, I want your shortstop, Chris Owings. You guys are clearly not going to need him anymore because he's not doing much for you right now because your team is so bad. Their team right now, let me show you the standings right now. They're last place. They're 5-8 team, the worst team in the National League. And actually, let me see if they're the worst team in the majors. They are actually the worst team in the majors record-wise. So, they're looking like they're going to tank. So go out and you grab their shortstop, right? They clearly need pitching. That's why they're tanking so bad. So what do you give them? Well, first of all, you give them what they want, which is that catching prospect, Kevin Plawecki, that we have in the minors. We obviously don't need him. We have Darno. We have Record. Okay? Darno, that remains to be seen. We'll see what happens with that. But we trade away Plawecki, right? That's not going to be enough for Chris Owings, though. He is the better shortstop of the two between him and Gregorius. You got to give him a pitcher. Who do you give him? No, I'm not going to give him Henry Mejia. This may be a little shocker to you. I would give him Dylan G, okay? The reason why I'm going to give him Dylan G is because when you really think about it, think about this rotation for a second. What's going to happen when Noah Syndergaard comes up in June? And you're going to have a loaded rotation of Colon, Wheeler, Syndergaard, Neese, and G, right? Or wrong. Is it going to be G or is it going to be Mejia? Mejia's been pitching too well to keep him out of rotation. I'm sorry. So G looks like he's going to be the odd man out. So trade him now. That his salary is still low, and I think it's around is in the high $3 million that his salary is for this year. So trade him away now. You send Dylan G away. He's been a great Met, but send him packing, send him condolences, and goodbye. You send Dylan G and Kevin Plawecki to Arizona, and that's more than enough to land you Chris Owings for a shortstop. And right there, the Mets would solve two issues. Their leadoff issue and their shortstop issue all in one. Because Chris Owings can lead off. He has a lot of speed, okay? He doesn't have the speed Eric Young has, but he is not that far behind Eric Young in terms of speed. He will be that electric plug right at the top of the order that the Mets have needed since Jose Reyes left. And he will be the shortstop of the future for the Mets. I strongly believe that. That's your second move. Now, the blockbuster move I'm going to land on you guys right now. The Mets are having problems clearly from the cleanup position, okay? And I feel like this is realistic enough. You go to Colorado, right? You look at their record right now; they're 12-10, so they're doing pretty decent. But all odds are saying that they're gonna eventually go back to the Rockies that we know them as, that poor, middle of the pack team in the NL West that they usually are. So if the Mets pray and they end up doing good into May and then probably into June. And Henry Mejia continues to have the starts he has, and he's just fucking dealing, bro. He's just dominating, and he stays undefeated, kind of like what Dylan G did a couple years ago, his rookie year. He was just flashy as hell, But Henry Mejia clearly has the better stuff, and he's developed his secondary pitches along with his amazing fastball. If he continues this, and the Mets continue to be over 500 throughout May, and Colorado somehow just gets tanked, they just do bad and they go under 500 and they realize they're going to have to blow up this team a little bit. What do? You call them up and you ask for their slugger, Carlos Gonzalez, okay? I'm not asking for Giancarlo Stanton from the Marlins or Ryan Braun from the Brewers, some crazy shit. No. I'm asking for Carlos Gonzalez of the Rockies, a guy that doesn't even make that much. He makes like, I believe, I got to double check this for you, okay? I want to see how much Carlos Gonzalez makes. I believe he makes between 9 and 11 million this year. But let me just, I apologize, I should have had this ready for you guys. But let me see how much he makes, okay? I want to see, because obviously, this is obviously important if you're the Mets. Let's see here. He's making, he signed an $80 million deal for 7 years, so if I do the math correctly, that is about If it was 8 years, it'd be 10 million, right? So 7, a little over 10 million a year. So he's making, I would say, close to $11 million a year. That's not that bad for a superstar of his caliber. So I would trade for his ass. Now, what are the Colorado Rockies going to ask for? This is where Mets fans might be a little disappointed, but hey, you got to get it done. No, I'm not going to say we're trading Darno. No, we're not even trading Wheeler. We're not even trading Syndergaard. This is what the Mets are going to do. You're going to trade Juan Lagares because they're obviously going to need an outfielder. You're gonna trade away outfield prospect Brandon Nimmo. You're gonna trade away Henry Mejia. Okay, you're gonna trade away who else? I'm forgetting. You're gonna trade away Wilmer Flores because he's no use to us anymore. He doesn't have a position. And you're gonna trade away next year's first-round pick, all for Carlos Gonzalez. Now you may think, is that enough? Yes, it is. You're gonna have a Gold Glove center fielder in Juan Lagares. Play there basically. He's going to start over Charlie Blackmon. Blackmon will get moved over to the corner. Then you would have sent them an outfield prospect for the future, Brandon Nimmo, who can play the corners once maybe Michael Kadari leaves or whatever's going to go on there because he's going to be a free agent soon. So he's going to shore up another outfield spot there for them. Then you're going to send them Wilmer Flores, who can clearly start for them. He's going to play second baseman for them over what's his name at second base for them. Not Arenado, he's at third base. I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, DJ LeMahieu. Yeah, he's not a good guy. I mean, he's garbage. You put Wilmer Flores at second base there. He finally has his position to play. And then you send him, practically the Mets ace right now is Henry Mejia. You send a guy, a flamethrower that they haven't had in their history, since Ubaldo Jimenez. You got a guy that can probably turn into a little less of a Ubaldo Jimenez up in Colorado, out in Colorado. That'd be a perfect trade. Plus, hello, we're taking on his contract. We're taking on his full $11 million. The Mets can do that, okay? So then the Mets, let's say their payroll would go from 86, right, that it is right now. Let's say they signed Hanrahan, right? So that was like, what, $4 million? Let's say. It would go up to $90 million, right? But then you're shaving off the high threes from Dylan G, right? Or the 3.5 from G, right? So it will go down again from 90 to 86.5, right, after you trade Dylan G. So then 86.5 plus 11, that's 96. Their payroll would be 97 after all of those deals, practically. That is so reasonable for a New York club like this, And once that is done, the Mets would be a hell of a lot better. You're telling me your outfield would then consist of Chris Young in left? Actually, no, sorry. Carlos Gonzalez in left, Chris Young in center, Granderson in right. Or Carlos Gonzalez in center and Chris Young in left, whatever, it doesn't really matter. A full veteran outfield for the Mets right there. You have the captain David Wright at third. You have Chris Owings at short, Murphy at second, Duda at first, Darno at catcher. Your rotation would then consist of Colon, Wheeler, Syndergaard, Nice, and not G, not Mejia, but Montero. You finally get him out of the bullpen because you're not going to need him anymore because you have Hanrahan now as the closer. You'd have the bullpen now being Hanrahan as the closer. You have you have Black and Farnsworth. You have Valverde. You have Familia. You have who else? DeGrom, Dice K. And then if you want to bring up Herman now, because obviously we took Montero out of the bullpen, bring up Herman. There's your bullpen. There's your fucking team. Your lineup would be Chris Owings, Daniel Murphy, David Wright, Carlos Gonzalez. Curtis Granderson can now slide down to fifth. Then it would be Chris Young or Lucas Duda batting sixth, and then the other would be batting seventh, and then Darno batting eighth. No pressure on him. And then the pitcher spot. Holy shit, that team is a lot better. What do you guys think about that? Isn't that such a better team than what we're having right now? That's such a better team. And it's so realistic. The Mets can do this. They can do these deals that I just said. Then what would happen is in 2015, Matt Harvey's going to come back, right? Which means another rotation spot is going to have to be freed up. Who can free that up? Bartolo Colon, right? Because he has a big contract. The Mets can just trade him away. And then Chris Young's a free agent. So what do you do next year? You have, if the Mets are able to trade Colon away next year, when Matt Harvey comes back for the $11 million that he's going to be owed next year, and Chris Young's 7.25 is coming off the books, that's already $18 million in cash that is going to be freed up, which the Mets can use for another outfielder next year. Now, if I look on another outfielder and maybe possibly another closer, if Joe Hanrahan does not do so well this year. So, if the Mets sign him. So let me look at the list for free agents next year. Out of the outfielders and the closers right now, the Mets would be able to get a guy like a Jim Johnson from Oakland, a Jason Mott from St. Louis because they're obviously not going to need him anymore. A guy like Houston Street from San Diego. Hey, the popular one that's probably going to be the favorite, Sergio Romo from San Francisco. You know, there's Jason Gurley in Pittsburgh. There's Casey Jansen in Toronto. There's a lot of options. If it was up to me, I would sign Sergio Romo in a heartbeat. His guy obviously won 2 world championships with the Giants. He has a lot of energy. He has great stuff. And then for the outfielders, there's a couple options. This would be kind of funny to you guys, but Nelson Cruz is a free agent again next year. You know, I would go after him. Michael Gaddai is a little older, but he's a free agent as well. He's still a great player. There's Nick Markakis out there. There's Alex Rios out there, just to name a few. So, if it was up to me, I would trade Bartolo Colon, you know, just basically to rid his contract to some team that's going to need him in 2015, okay? You would have a rotation then consisting of Harvey, Wheeler, Syndergaard, Jonathan Neese, and Rafael Montero. The perfect rotation the Mets have been dreaming up since they fucking got all these guys. Okay, this was the rotation they were talking about. They weren't talking about Dylan G or Henry Mejia or Bartolo Colon or even Jacob deGrom. They were talking about these 5 guys. And this is exactly what it's going to come down to. This is the destiny for the Mets. Okay, the stars are all going to align and it's going to be this way. And then Chris Young, most likely the Mets will not re-sign him. And they will send him packing as well. And same thing with Joel Hanrahan. Okay, so unless Joel Hanrahan does so well, might as well keep him. But if Joel Hanrahan doesn't do well, there's a backup plan. The Mets can go out and sign a closer, and my closer would be Sergio Romo. I would give him possibly 2 to 3 years, you know, around $17-20 million. I would give him that. He's a great closer. And then I would sign an outfielder, and I would probably sign Nelson Cruz. I would not repeat the same mistake if I was Sandy Alderson and do it right this time. I would sign Nelson Cruz, and you're talking about a lineup that would be so devastating. It would be almost as good as it was in 2006. You would then be able to plug in Nelson Cruz in right. You can slide over Carlos Gonzalez to center and Curtis Granderson over to left, and you have yourself a lineup of Chris Owings, Daniel Murphy, David Wright, Carlos Gonzalez, Curtis Granderson, or maybe Nelson Cruz, and then Curtis Granderson all the way batting 6th, Lucas Duda, and Travis Darno. I mean, holy shit. That's why 2015 is going to be the year the Mets are going to be dominant. But 2014 has to be done the right way. The way I just said it has to be done in order for this to work. So what do you guys think? That's my video. I rambled, you know, for far too long now. But what do you guys think? I want you guys to comment below on what do you think about my transactions that I think the Mets should do for 2014 that would set up 2015, and also my transactions for 2015. What do you guys think about that? Hit me down below with comments, and I'll gladly respond to you guys. And I'll be coming out, obviously, with another video shortly to continue my 2014 Mets regular season series. Okay, guys? So, I'm Metallica with 28. Thanks for watching my video, guys, and I'm out.